Thank you for being with me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. I want to start with an earthquake, but we're in action mode in parts of Central America. Very critical information with a life-threatening flooding on the way. I want to track that and a development or an area that could develop and eventually hit the same spot that Hurricane Eric just hit. So that's clearly not a good situation at all. And I want to show you some rounds of dust moving into the Eastern Caribbean. We're going to see a big dust surge just over the next couple of days. So thank you for your patience. I know this video will be a little bit long. I'll try to go as quick as possible, but we need to get to some info. Let's start with this. The earthquake last night, right near the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, 5.7 in magnitude. And as I mentioned, anything over 5, a lot of us feel it. Fortunately, it was just to the north. There was no tsunami threat with it, just enough to the north where we didn't have any substantial reports of damage or anything like that. 68 kilometers down, 44 miles down, so still a relatively shallow quake. So a lot of us may have felt this. We felt this in parts of the British U.S. Virgin Islands all the way back toward St. Martin, for example. I'll monitor for any additional quakes as we go forward. I got you covered right here on this channel. Now let's swing to this. Action mode for some spots, not for a named system, but for life-threatening flooding. This is very information. You could subscribe or not subscribe, but I do really appreciate you sharing this information. Nicaragua, we are going to see even more rain headed in. This is a life-threatening flood situation with those big downpours that are coming at us. Really nonstop for some of us throughout the rest of the week, and extreme eastern areas of Honduras. I'm watching this whole area, but really in this pocket in particular, eastern areas of Nicaragua, life-threatening floods, mudslides, very dangerous rivers. Monitor those river crossings. Even if it's not raining right above you, we could have rain elsewhere and that runoff comes across. Watching out in this area. So please do what you can. I know we all have different means to protect yourself. If you're in an area that typically floods with big time tropical downpours, watching this, we could have an additional, just over the next 2 days, 200 millimeters of rain or 8 inches of rain. Could be even higher, upwards of 300, 400 millimeters. Can't be ruled out through the end of the week. This is on top of what we've already had. Look at that moisture just building in. I'll monitor this spot for development. Not seeing signs of tropical development, but you see the heavy rain here on this side, the Eastern Pacific. We should have another named system as we get toward the end of the week, and watching out for some scattered showers. Aruba, we had some scattered showers overnight, for example. Yesterday, parts of Jamaica, we had some thunderstorms. Falmouth, for example, I was watching some storms. Few and far between in our northern sections, but with that, where we get some storms, they could be on the strong side. But look at this feed of rain moving into Nicaragua, and yes, this is no doubt, and I don't use that term lightly, a life-threatening situation with that rain. There's just more back behind it. That's going to be pumping it all day. Lots of moisture building here. Hit or miss showers, but I want to show you in a moment across the Eastern Caribbean, the dust that is about to build in. It's going to be rather significant. And then we swing out here in the open waters of the Atlantic, a new tropical wave kind of hanging together. Rather impressive in the bad sense of the term for this time of year. I'm not seeing development out of it, but it is hanging together as it fights off some dry air and some dust. So I'll monitor that. Speaking of which, look at this slug of dust moving in. This yellow shading. This is for today through the Eastern Caribbean, Trinidad north through Antigua, Barbuda, Anguilla, back through Puerto Rico. Thick areas of dust. Be mindful of that. If you have any breathing issues, no doubt they will be worse. For many of us, just acting kind of like an allergen out there. You may have those kind of red eyes or itchy eyes. And then as we get toward the end of the week on Friday, this blob of dust just shifts toward Jamaica, over toward Cuba, South Florida, parts of the Bahamas. Some of that dust even tries to stretch toward the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico as this next round of dust moves in. So there's so much going on right now between earthquakes, tropical weather, watching out for the dust. Now, watching out for development the next couple of weeks. This spot to the east of Bermuda, I'm not seeing really any development out of it. Does have a brief window to still be a named system, but that's going to stay over the open waters. This area here, the Eastern Pacific, that's where we should get some development, especially by the end of the week. I want to show you that. A system that could follow Hurricane Eric. So we'll monitor the southwestern Caribbean, more so though on the Eastern Pacific side. In this area here, here's Guatemala. Here's the southern coast of Mexico once again. This area should trek very close to the southern coast of Mexico. I am not sure yet if it moves into Mexico like Eric did, right? Because it hasn't developed yet. Once it develops, I'll have a good handle on where it will go. There are some indications that it may try to swing up toward the Baja or could try to move inland, but we'll have to wait and see together as it develops. Once it develops, I'll have good information to pass along as far as where exactly this area may go. Just now, some of the computer models starting to get run on this. It's starting to see this, so not a lot of information here, but it should eventually become a tropical storm, and then eventually it could become a hurricane. So watching this sector here. Now let's look at what's going on. Watching the dust in the eastern Caribbean, but there's the heavy rain. Panama, Costa Rica as well, that flood threat. Nicaragua, more rain, and then this kind of pocket back behind it, watching out for that possibility of some developments. Kind of two pieces of this in through here. Spotty showers in Belize, spotty showers and storms, Jamaica again, back through Puerto Rico. Watching the dust, Antigua, Barbuda, and this still here, the feed up toward New Mexico. I'll show you the U.S. in just a moment. The remnants of Eric just kind of enhancing that flood threat for New Mexico. It was bad yesterday in some spots, but there's the rain. Eastern Honduras, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video. Nicaragua, look at that rain still around. Slug of moisture moving back toward parts of the northern and central Bahamas, and just keeping an eye on this area out here. It'll kind of all mix together as we go through the end of the week. So this is tomorrow afternoon. Let's go out in time here further as we work our way into our Thursday. Remember, we have that dust around in much of the Caribbean. Here's that rain, still Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, Honduras, though, more widespread. Belize by Thursday, a better chance of rain. Most of it just off toward the southwest of Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. And then we'll see this kind of mixing together by the time we hit Friday. Watch what happens as we hit Friday. A ton of rain still in Nicaragua. That's why I mentioned that life-threatening flooding through the end of the week. And then Barbados, St. Lucia, Grenada will be watching off toward the east over toward Trinidad for another tropical wave that will start to move in behind that area of dust. This here is by Saturday. By Saturday, this area looks like it will start to develop near Guatemala and Mexico. We'll watch out for the new tropical wave sliding into St. Vincent the Grenadines. Could see a couple showers through St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis. But look at Sunday. This is when we could see some development, and this could follow the same path of Eric. Too early to tell, but I'll be watching that very carefully. And then you see the rain building. I mentioned those other tropical waves out there in the Atlantic. That'll start to get closer, so we'll monitor for any signs of development. But as we get deeper into the weekend and next week, a better chance of rain sliding into the eastern Caribbean. This spot could become a named system, though, should be a named system on the eastern Pacific side. Swinging to the north, severe weather threat, parts of the Great Lakes, some rain trying to exit later today. The Avalon Peninsula in Newfoundland, the Atlantic region of Canada. But this moisture, again, the remnants of Eric feeding in New Mexico. There was significant flooding yesterday in spots. Today will be the same way with heavy rain, and we'll see that again even into tomorrow. Then I mentioned this a few days ago. Virginia back through the Carolinas, even northern Georgia, a severe weather threat. There could be some really strong storms into the Carolinas, giving you the heads up tomorrow afternoon and evening. There's some of the rain back through the Bahamas. And let's go out in time here further as we get back through Ontario and Quebec, through the Great Lakes. We'll be watching out for some storms, tail end of the front kind of getting enhanced. Still scattered storms in the southeast U.S. Some of those could be severe, and watching out for a severe weather threat through the Great Lakes region as we work our way into our Thursday forecast. Now watch how these seas build, and then I'll show you the rain totals. You can see things a little bit choppier, but the western Caribbean and then no doubt into the eastern Pacific as we work our way into the weekend. Let me take you into the weekend. Things do build, no doubt, seeing if this moves inland or stays just offshore. Aggressive seas, and still seeing it a little bit choppy to rough. We have those winds around, and then we'll see the seas a bit elevated, Atlantic passageways by this weekend with that next tropical wave that'll slide in later this weekend into next week. Now, as far as rain totals go, these brighter colors we're seeing in here are mainly spotty showers, but northern and central Bahamas will get some spots of about 2 inches of rain or 50 millimeters of rain, especially by tomorrow. And then again, as we work our way into Thursday, Cayman Islands and Jamaica, look at that heavy rain just to the southwest, but that doesn't mean we don't get a couple thunderstorms like we had yesterday in spots around Montego Bay. We had a couple storms. Watching Haiti and the DR, watching the dust. The rain chance is not very high. Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Barts, Sebastian, St. Kitts and Nevis, watching some of that dust. Antigua, Barbuda, and Guadeloupe. It'll be thick over the next couple of days. Same thing in Dominica. So the rain chance has dropped. Still that chance of some scattered showers. Trinidad and Tobago, we'll see a few around. Northern Guyana, we could get some totals of about 100 millimeters of of rain, even extreme northern sections of Suriname, northeastern Venezuela, watching parts of Venezuela, Colombia for some of the heavier rain. But look at these additional totals, some of these reds popping up of 200 millimeters of rain. Eastern sections of Honduras, eastern sections of Nicaragua, that's where we're in action mode to protect life and property from some of this flooding all the way through the end of the week. Scattered areas of rain continue to lift through Mexico with some areas of flooding, and again back through New Mexico. An additional 4 inches of rain in some spots over the next couple days. That is going to lead to flooding. Most of this rain has been just off toward the west of Texas. So 40 to 50% chance of some scattered storms. If we get one in Jamaica, it could be strong. About a 40% chance the next couple of days. Right across the Cayman Islands, rain chance at about 40%, so it's down some. Trinidad and Tobago, a lot of us had some of the rain yesterday in Trinidad as expected. We've had some spotty showers the last few days in Barbados. Rain chance about 20 to 30%, and about a 30% chance over the next couple of days in St. Lucia. 40% chance in Grenada today. It does go down some with some dry air and some dust around. 20 to 30% chance St. Vincent and the Grenadines. 20 to 30% chance in Martinique. And we do that again from Dominica back through Guadeloupe with the areas of dust around over the next couple of days, and some of that will be thick. It's even thicker as we lift to the north, and that means even drier tomorrow and Thursday. Antigua, Barbuda, mainly dry. St. Kitts and Nevis and Montserrat. Yeah, a couple showers around, but the rain chance not very high. Anguilla, that rain chance stays low. St. Martin, Saba and Statia, very low. Watching the dust. Pop-up shower storm in Puerto Rico, but again, not widespread. Mainly dry. U.S. and British Virgin Islands. The dust gets thicker later today and especially tomorrow, but the Bahamas, the rain chance tomorrow and Thursday, as I was showing you, will be picking up. About a 30% chance of a couple showers, Turks and Caicos, before the dust arrives. Dominican Republic, rain chance is down, only a 20 to 30% chance. Mainly dry through Haiti with that dust that will be moving in. Belize by Thursday, that rain to the south starts to work in. The end of the week for us in Belize, the rain chance is going to be getting higher. Been watching some showers already on the move around Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire. Still some of the showers that will be possible over the next couple of days. Northern Guyana, watching out for the flood threat. Rain chance about 50 to 60% as we work our way back through Suriname. Spotty showers and storms in Cuba later this week. Some of that dust will be moving in. The very high chance of rain, Costa Rica, Panama. Monitoring the flooding action mode, especially eastern Nicaragua for the tropical rain moving in. Eastern Honduras, that's where that greatest threat will be. And then we'll see that rain chance build in Guatemala and El Salvador again by the end of the week. Still very active around Mexico City with that chance of some flooding. End of the week, heads up Yucatan Peninsula from Cancun back through Merida. That rain chance will be getting higher. 50 to 60% chance in northern Colombia, 50 to 60% chance in northern Venezuela. And we're mainly dry in Bermuda, watching that spin just off to the northeast that may try to become subtropical for a brief period of time. So tropical waves are really hanging together for the most part, monitoring for development, watching the Western Caribbean and watching over toward the Eastern Pacific. That flood threat for a lot of us getting higher. On the flip side, we have some of that dust moving into the Eastern Caribbean, but watching Nicaragua over toward parts of Honduras. I'm going to monitor that very carefully over the next few days. Thank you for sharing this information. Have a good rest of your day.